some lovely things, Georgie.
Nice.
It's just like Aladdin's cave in here.
Oh, better than a cave, Beanie.
Oh, yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Here, you can sit on it if you like.
How did you pay for them all?
Didn't have to pay nothing. It was my inheritance. From old Lizzie Broomborough when she was took of her heart attack. I was her best friend. And the governor let me move in here to sort of keep an eye on things.
How much did you have to drop her?
She knew I'd appreciate it. This bedspread took Lizzie 4 years to make. Only person's allowed to sit on it is the governor. And me, of course.
Jammy old paraffin.
How's the girl who cut herself?
Oh, she's calmed down, Governor. It wasn't as bad as it seemed.
Good.
You did that deliberate.
No, I never, honest to God, it was
You
an
was
accident.
deliberate, my best cup and saucer.
Well, I'll help you pick it up.
Don't you touch it! Don't you touch it!
Get over!
All quiet on the Western Front, madam?
Well, long may it last. How's your daughter now that she's left hospital?
Oh, much better, thank you, madam. She's a lot stronger. These last 2 weeks at home have done her a power of good.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
It'll take some of the strain off you, too. Looking after your granddaughter, I mean.
Jimmy! Get out of here! Get out! Get out! Breaking my things!
Stop that noise! Will you do as you're told? Be quiet! Get back into line!
Will you tell me what's so amusing about seeing two grown women fight like children? I'm surprised at you both.
She started it, madam.
Oh, I never...
All right, move them on.
All right, everybody. Now, what's this all about?
The old bitch, she just went for me.
It's not true.
You bloody
All
old
right,
cow.
all right. Now, one of you tell me what's happened. Mrs. Weeks.
Well, I was showing her me things. When my back was turned, she broke one of my cup and saucers. My best ones, out of spite.
No, I never. It was an accident. I just touched it with my elbow.
An accident?
Well, yes, madam. Sort of. I didn't mean no harm.
I see.
I just wanted her out of my room.
Well, it's not what I expected from you, Mrs. Weeks. However, I won't take any disciplinary action, provided you accept Mrs. Dixon's apology.
Sorry, Georgie. No offence.
Oh, all right, Beanie. None taken.
All right, Beanie, run along.
Thank you.
Mrs. Armitage, do you have days when you feel this whole place is going to blow up any minute?
Oh, often, madam. It's like walking through a minefield. If you keep waiting for the bang.
What do you do when you feel like that?
Try not to put my feet down too hard.
Yes, but I'm serious about the tension. You can sense it on all the wings.
Yes, my officers are aware of it too.
Well, perhaps it's just a phase. I must admit I'm pretty jumpy myself. I'm expecting my son back from India any day.
Oh, yes, madam. He's been away for over a year now, hasn't he?
Yes, he's been doing voluntary work.
It's nice to be a family again. I've just found that out.
Excuse me, Governor.
Yes, Charles.
I've been over in the hospital wing. That girl who stabbed herself in the kitchens.
Yes?
Peter Mays is examining her. I think you ought to have a word with him.
Right.
Well, you made a nice job of the stitching. That's very nasty, Rose. How did you do it? Or perhaps you'd rather tell me why you did it. So we'll rebandage and carry on with the dressing, sir.
How's she, Peter?
Well, she's all right. That's not what troubles me. I want to know how she did it and why she did it.
Well, she was on a work party in the kitchen. She suddenly started screaming and stabbed herself.
Then why is she so frightened? Now, I know that it's physically possible to stab yourself there, but if you're distracted and you suddenly snatch up a knife...
So you don't think that it was self-inflicted?
I think it's most unlikely.
Have you spoken to her, Charles?
Yes. She certainly claimed to have done it herself. She said everything got on top of her for a minute and she just flipped.
No, she won't talk about it at all.
In that case, it'll be impossible to investigate.
Well, I couldn't get anything more out of her than the deputy or Dr. Mays. She still insists that it was an accident.
Maybe it was.
Maybe. I don't think I believe her. I have a feeling that she was afraid. Worrying thing is that the knife that she used has disappeared. In the confusion, nobody seems to know what happened to it.
It could have got into the washing up vats.
Self-inflicted wounding in women's prisons is something that we've learned to expect. But there have been far too many cases in this wing over the last month, like that girl who slashed herself last week.
And Annie Miller, madam. She cut herself across the knuckles with broken glass.
Yes, I don't like the implications.
Neither do I, Governor. But there's only one way to find out.
Now, you've been here for over 3 months, Donna, and you've not had a single visit or letter. I see your parents divorced some time ago, but they're both within reasonable distance. We could ask them, or one of them, if you prefer, to come and see you. Donna. Oh, it's your choice, of course. But I think it would be good for you to have someone to talk to, someone from outside. Look, we better get something clear. I am not concerned with why you are here. I'm not disciplinary stuff, I'm welfare. Any approach I made to them would be discreet and confidential.
They
Yes.
don't want to know me. I haven't seen them for years.
Well, is there anyone else? I was glad to see that you joined the art class. You enjoy it?
Yes.
Well, the instructor thinks you have a lot of promise. They're very powerful. What were you thinking when you did them? Well, you know, we sometimes use art to say things we can't put into words. And in your case, I think you obviously feel trapped, shut in. Well, not only inside this prison, but inside yourself. And you're afraid, aren't you? Look, if I'm wrong, tell me. You tell me what they mean.
I don't want to talk about them.
Donna.
Oh, sorry, Miss Clark.
Whatever it is, Mrs. Carto, can't it wait?
I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave, Miss Clark. It's a search.
Everybody out! Stand outside yourselves! Now don't bunch up like that, ladies. Come on, stand outside yourselves. What have you got there, Andrews?
Only some snout, Chief. I didn't want to get them nicked. They won't break any more of my things, will they, miss? You will see that they're careful.
Don't worry, Georgie.
All right, I'll come and see you again soon, Donna. Oh, Marion, I protest most strongly.
What about, Liz?
This search, it was most inopportune.
We can't talk here. Now, what is it?
I was with Donna Wyatt.
I see.
Well, you know what she'd been like, withdrawn, unresponsive?
Yes.
I was just on the point of reaching her, just getting through when your Mrs. Carto crashed in.
I'm sorry, if it's a wing search, every cell has to be turned over.
Oh, what's so important, anyway? What are you looking for?
Concealed weapons.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's all right. The hall was interesting, Peter. A set of poker dice, some pornographic literature, and the remains of a joint of ham stolen from the kitchen and found behind the loo wrapped in plastic.
Well, so I should hope. Nothing else?
We found a store of boiled sweets and cigarette tobacco in Mick Andrews' mattress.
She said she'd been saving them, but it's more likely she's been doing some bookmaking.
And no sign of hidden weapons.
And for that, any hope I had of getting through to Donna Wyatt has been put back on months.
Well, it was a chance worth taking, Miss Clark.
Yes, but you don't have gangs and power groups among women, Governor. They're too individualistic.
Well, violence in women's prisons comes in waves, Miss Clark, usually self-inflicted through hysteria. I don't think there's anything more sinister than that in these cases.
I'm not so sure, Governor. There's a new, tougher group of younger prisoners. Amoral, vicious. All they seem to respect is force.
What are you suggesting? Getting the rubber truncheons out?
No.
I agree with Mr. Radley. Some of these new YPs, their charge sheets would make your hair curl. You can't get through to them in the normal way.
So what do you suggest?
Well, I know it's not the popular view, but I'd toughen up on them.
Oh, no, not again.
Look, we've tried all the other ways, Doctor. Under the present system, a prison sentence is nothing more than a joke.
At least let the vicious ones learn that privileges have to be earned, not given away automatically.
Apart from being inhumane, that's impractical.
Well, I'm not sure it wouldn't work.
Well, practical or not, Charles, we have a system that is humane and it does work in most cases. What we do about individuals who don't fit in is another matter. Have to be discussed at some other time. Mrs. Armitage, will you ask all the principal officers on the wing to keep their eyes open? The important thing is to avoid friction.
Yes, madam.
Faye? Is everything all right?
Yes, perfectly. I've just got to finish one or two things and I'm going home.
Have I put you back up? The Marriage Guidance Council says never end the day with a bad atmosphere. I like to think it's a bit that way with us.
Oh, Charles, you're impossible.
What have I done?
Well, I admit that I have been worried about you these last few weeks. I mean, your attitude to what we're doing here. I'm not sure where you stand anymore.
Well, I'll admit that I've been doing a lot of thinking since I've read the latest crime statistics.
Yes, they're pretty frightening.
Oh, they're a damn sight more than that, Faye. While I don't entirely go along with Mrs. Armitage, I'm becoming afraid that the softer treatment of criminals hasn't worked.
The so-called softer treatment, Charles, is policy. And we both know that it does work.
It works in some cases. The first offender who's so horrified at finding herself in prison that she'd never break the law again anyway. It's the others I'm worried about.
Hello, Swindley.
Samantha's still asleep.
Good. We'll have breakfast in peace for once.
Here, let me do that.
I can manage.
No doubt. Now, come along. Oh, dear. Everybody's at it this morning.
Dad and I were just saying, it isn't fair that you always have to make the breakfast.
Yeah, but the doctor hasn't told me to take it easy.
It's 3 months since the accident.
Never argue with you, Mother Ellen. It's the cardinal rule for domestic bliss.
I'll have to do something soon. I'll go potty just sitting around.
You can get used to it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean...
It's all right, love. I know what you mean.
Time enough for you to start looking for a job when you're really fit.
I can at least help in the house.
Well, you can do that when I start complaining.
Well, Molly, anything special on today?
No, nothing in particular. I just hope there aren't any more blow-ups.
I was sorry to hear about old Georgie, eh?
Yeah, it's the old ones I worry about at times like this. Now, if she really does fall out with Beanie Dixon, she'll be all on her own.
Are these prisoners you're talking about?
Mrs. Weeks and Beanie Dixon, in and out to Stone Park for years.
And you discussed them? But, Mother, they're in your charge.
So?
There is such a thing as respecting confidence. Don't you think it's wrong to talk about them outside?
It so happens I don't.
You shouldn't have said that, love.
I've been good so far, Dad. I've kept my opinions to myself. I just happen to think that talking about the women outside is a violation of their rights.
It was only to me, love. Your mother always talks to me about her troubles, asks for my advice. Oh, I realize she only does it to make me feel useful, but I like to think sometimes she takes it.
I'll go and have a word. I shouldn't have spoken.
It's your opinion. I didn't think you'd have changed.
But I have, you know. I had a pretty mixed-up idea about you and your work before. And though I can see more now, there's still an awful lot I don't understand.
Hello, Granny. Is it time for breakfast?
Yes, it is lovely.
Hello, Sammy.
Gotcha, girls.
Hiya.
Right.
Oh, Hazel, my God.
Oh, face Dr. Mays.
So, once again, it's someone from North Wing, and once again, it's said to be an accident.
How could it be? She'd have had to stick her hand in the cooker and then slam the door shut on it.
And judging from the damage, I'd say with considerable force.
Well, what does it mean?
Well, I'm afraid to say it, but it looks like intimidation.
Well, that puts us right back to where we were last night. Governor. No, I can't see anyone at the moment. Who? Miss Flaxton.
You're never gonna...
Yes, all right. Tell her I'll see her in about 5 minutes. Thank you. That was a gatehouse. Miss Flaxton's here to see me.
Miss Flaxton?
Oh, Miss Flaxton.
Why, Miss Flaxton, how nice to see you. Just visiting?
Just visiting.
See you.
I don't understand, Miss Flaxton. When you left the prison service, you said you were going to be married.
I thought so too, madam. For years we'd waited, first because of my mother and then because of my job here. When I gave that up, I thought he'd be happy. Instead, he began to make difficulties about coming down to see me. He lives in Bedford. He kept saying that something had come up, business appointments.
You don't have to tell us this, you know.
I want to. Well, one day I went to Bedford. It was stupid, but I had to face him with it. When he came to the door, he pretended he didn't know me. He was married already, you see, had been all along.
After all those years?
With children. Oh, he had no intention of leaving his wife. He was just using me. It's the oldest story in the book. I don't know how many times I've heard it in here.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not. I'm just disgusted at the complete waste I've made of my life.
Well, what can I do for you?
Well, I'm not well off, madam. I've only got my savings. I've got to do something.
You want to come back?
Well, what can I say? When you resigned, you wrote a letter which was pretty strong, highly critical of the conditions and methods here, and particularly of me.
I know, madam. It was how I felt. But I don't want to go back into uniform again. It wouldn't be right.
Then what?
I've been thinking. I want to use what I've learned. I want to train to be a probation officer, but I would need your recommendation.
Hello, Hazel. Feeling a bit better?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Spencer.
I think she's completely sincere.
That's all very well, Mrs. Boswell, but in the probation service you would be attached to my department, working directly under me.
Yes.
Well, I can't say that I ever admired or much cared for Miss Flaxton. And as a principal officer, she was one of the most reactionary of the disciplinary staff. How can she suddenly change her attitude? And there's no marching in telling the women to speak up and speak when they're spoken to with us, you know.
She knows that. I've gone into it with her very carefully.
I'm sorry, I just don't see how...
Now, look, Miss Clark, she's had 20 years' experience. Don't you think that it would be an awful waste to just throw that away? I'm willing to take a gamble.
And you want me to give her my recommendation? I'm sorry. I shall have to think about it.
I'm sorry, too. But I rather expected that answer from you. But in the meantime, while her application is being considered, I've arranged for her to do a few weeks as a prison visitor.
Do you think she'll be all right, Chief?
Oh, she's got her head screwed on.
It'll be difficult for her. She used to be the boss on North Wing. Funny the governor should have put her here.
No doubt she has her reasons.
Well, well, look what the cat brought in. Hello, Agnes. Is it true you're not a screw anymore?
It's true.
What are you going to do for kicks now you can't book us?
All right, Meg, that's enough. Get on with your dinners, Listen.
How do you do, Miss Flaxton?
Oh. Hello, Mrs. Armitage. Did you want me, Miss Clark? I've just come to fix lunch for the family.
No, it was Ellen I wanted to see.
Ellen?
Yes, Miss Clark rang to ask after Sammy this morning. She hadn't seen her since the night that you two brought her back from hospital, so we said, come on over.
And I did.
Oh, where is Samantha?
That's the marvellous thing, Mum. Miss Clark's got her into a play school.
A play school?
Well, it's a nursery school, actually. A very good place. It's only 2 streets away. They take the children from 9:30 to 4, and it's free.
Miss Clark, I don't consider either myself or my family as welfare cases.
Well, of course not, but... Well, while we were talking, I thought, if I can help the women, why not the staff? And the school's run by the council, and they take the children up to the age of 5. Well, it'll leave Ellen free during the day. Well, if you'll excuse me, I really must be going.
Oh, no, you'll stay another bite.
Oh, yes, please do.
No, another time I'd love to. Now I must be off. Don't bother to see me out. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, Liz.
Well, I'll be... I've all the nerve.
Molly, it was very good of her to take the trouble.
Look, I can't get off at 4 o'clock to collect Samantha.
Don't worry, it's all arranged. Mrs. Edwards' little boy goes there. She'll take Sammy and bring her back.
You know, it's just like Miss Clark. She wants to run everything. Always poking her nose in.
But it's better for Sammy. I couldn't look after her and the flat.
Well, you don't have to. We had all that out this morning.
You had it out. But Dad and I had a little talk after you left.
Oh, yes?
We decided it was ridiculous for you to get up early and make the breakfast and then rush home and make lunch. Then in the evening, bath Sammy, make the supper, clean the flat. It's all too much.
Look, I can cope.
I know you can cope, but I'm stronger now. And with Sammy being taken care of, I can tidy the flat and make meals for Dad and me.
You don't have to.
Oh, Molly,
Look,
come
whose side
on.
are you on?
I'm not on anyone's side, but I tell you one thing, she's just as stubborn as you are. And we're going to have to let her make some decisions of her own.
That was always the trouble, Mum. I was never allowed to decide anything.
It was for your own good. Oh, well, you're a grown woman now. Do what you want.
All I want is not to be a liability. To take some of the strain off you.
All right. I'll have a cup of coffee and a sandwich.
Oh, right. Miss Clark's very understanding. It must be nice for you to have someone like her to work with.
Well, I never thought I'd have you as my visitor, Miss Flaxton.
If you'd rather it was someone else, Georgie, I don't...
Oh, no, of course not. I can talk to you, not like these young screws. Just kids, some of them, and darkies.
Yes. Well, the important thing to remember is that I'm not an officer anymore. I'm not here to see you obey the rules, but to help you.
Well, just having someone different to talk to's help enough, miss. Oh, I forgot. I shouldn't call you miss, should I? You was getting married.
No, I changed my mind.
Oh, well, a lady like you gets used to being on her own.
Aye. Oh, well, I'd better be going then, Georgie.
I haven't said anything to upset you, have I? You'll come again.
Oh, of course. I just looked in to see how you were.
You're welcome any time. Never had a chance to talk to you before, not like a friend.
No.
You come whenever you like. Use Liz's things, same as I do. Just you.
Thank you.
Because you're a real lady, and you know how much love and care went into the making of them.
All right. I'll come back and see you soon, Georgie.
Ah, isn't that nice? All the governor's little pets sticking together.
Oh, I might as well be dead.
Don't say that, Beanie.
Well, it's true. What have I got to go on living for? I ain't got nobody or nothing. All I'm waiting for is that first gargle when I get out of here. Here, do you know something? That's the only one I can ever taste.
You don't have to drink, Beanie. You kick it in here.
Only 'cause I can't get none. Soon as I'm out, I make a beeline for the nearest boozer. 2 weeks later, I'm back in the pokey.
Well, at least they look after you here, the screws.
Yeah, they're either old dykes or rejects from the Salvation Army. It's fact. Only them as sucks up to the screws get any consideration.
Oh, no, you can't say that.
I can. I bloody well will. Some of them live on the fat of the land. The rest of us have to pay up. Screws don't care.
What do you mean?
Well, I get me pay at the end of the bloody week and have to pay half of it away again, don't I? For tobacco and sweets and that. Bloody screws don't care how much protection we have to cough up.
Protection? From what? You have to pay for protection?
No.
No, you said you have to pay protection.
No, I never.
Who do you have to pay?
I didn't mean nothing. I was just grumbling. You're trying to verbal me.
Beanie.
You leave me alone. Coming in here, pretending to be all friendly, all smarmy. Just piss off.
You're Donna, aren't you? Donna Wyatt?
Don't get up. You don't have to get up for her. She's nothing.
I found these art magazines when I was clearing out some things at home. They're a couple of years old, but I wondered if you'd like to have them.
Thank you.
They're of more use to you than me. Miss Collins tells me you haven't had a visitor yet.
And she don't want one neither.
I'm not talking to you, Mick. Now clear off. I know how difficult it is seeing the same faces every day. Would you like me to visit you? Or just for company? Don't you think you'd like to talk to me?
No, thank you.
Well, you think about it. I'll come back and see you again.
That was on the 15th.
Yes.
Come in.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right, Miss Clark. We're nearly finished anyway. Join us.
The day before, the Williams girl had 2 fingers broken. She said she did it playing table tennis.
Yes, and then 3 days later, Annie Miller had her knuckles slashed.
It looks more and more like intimidation.
For what purpose?
Oh, some kind of protection racket, I suppose. It's the law of the jungle. Pay up or get beaten up.
Have you noticed anything, Miss Clark?
Well, no, I don't know anything positive. And if the women ever thought that I would violate their confidence, they'd never trust me again.
Now, look, the situation is this. We believe that we're up against something that you yourself said could never happen in a woman's prison. In this instance, if you or any other member of the staff have any inkling at all, you really must divulge it.
I've seen what these protection gangs can do in men's prisons, Liz. Once they start, they take over the whole place. Prisoners are afraid to talk. Officers become involved.
Well, what I've heard is only vague. It would have to be confirmed. But very carefully.
Miss Flaxton's the only one I'd allow in here for a cup of tea. And you, of course, Miss Collins. And the governor. Nobody else.
Not Beanie?
Not anymore. She's mean. Mean and nasty.
Must be expensive making cups of tea for all your visitors.
Oh, shocking. No concessions for old age pensioners in here. Shocking.
Especially with inflation. Even worse if you don't get to keep your pay at the end of the week.
Ah, true. Not that I don't. I'm lucky. Been left alone so far. Mind you...
Yes?
Nothing, Miss Collins.
You wanted to say something?
No, nothing. I didn't want to say nothing.
Hello, darling.
Bill, I didn't expect you back till much later.
Finished early today.
Oh, lovely.
Anything new?
Oh, there's always something new. I begin to understand why Charles and the older officers long for the days when everything was cut and dried and run like a military operation.
You take it.
I know I would. Give me a drink, darling.
Sure you want one?
I'm damn sure I want one.
Can't it wait a couple of minutes?
Why?
Well, to give me time to pour out the champagne, I expect.
Paul!
Hello, Mother.
Oh, darling. Bill, why didn't you tell me he was here?
We wanted it to be a surprise.
Well, that's why I finished early, so I could go to the airport and meet him.
You look marvellous,
Thank you.
darling, and you filled out.
It's just a bit.
Oh, how lovely to have you home.
It's nice to be home.
Did you bring me an elephant?
No, but there's a couple of tigers in the fridge.
Oh, champagne. Welcome, darling.
Thank you.
Hello, Poppet.
I can imagine how you must have felt, Maura.
Can you?
Well, maybe not, but pretty close.
After all those years in here, I was so desperate for a normal life, for affection. I couldn't see it was all a con.
Yeah. I'm glad you decided to come back. And it was good of the governor to take you on.
Yes.
You know, your turning up just now might be a blessing in disguise. Maybe you've noticed there's a funny situation amongst the women. It's only developed in the last weeks. But we just can't find out what's going on.
You suggesting that I should pass back information?
Well, you could keep your eyes and ears open.
A grass, is that what I was taking on
Now,
for? You
don't
want to know
fly
me-
off, Morag.
Do you know what you're asking?
Oh, don't be silly. Look, you're one of us. This is a dangerous situation. Surely you can see what a lot of good you'd do yourself by proving that you haven't lost your sense of responsibility.
No deal.
What's got into you?
Perhaps you think it was generous of Mrs. Boswell to take me on. I thought so too. And what did she do? Started me off on North Wing, where the women were bound to resent me.
No, it wasn't like that, Morag.
I couldn't think why at first. And now I realise she wants me to fail. Well, I'm not going to. It'll take time, but I'll get those women to accept me.
Yes, of course you will.
I'm going to make a success of this job. And you can tell Mrs. Boswell that if I start asking the women the wrong questions, I might as well just throw it away, so no deal.
Well, good night, Mrs. Spencer.
Good night, Georgie.
Oh, good God. It must have been her. She does it all. Everything. Nothing left. All torn up, smashed up. What a pleasure I had in the world, all gone.
Yes, Mrs. Weeks. And I think you know who did it.
No. Oh, no.
Mrs. Spencer says that when you first saw it, you said it must have been her.
Who must it have been, Mrs. Weeks?
Well, I did think at first it might have been Beanie, but now I know I was wrong.
Then who was it?
I don't know, 'm. Honest to God, I don't.
Is that the truth?
Yes, 'm.
Everything that you possess in the world has been destroyed. And you don't know who it was?
No, 'm.
You didn't see anything, Rose.
No, madam.
And you can't even guess why it was done.
Can't imagine, madam.
Right. Right. Next one. Dixon.
Dixon, Beanie. 41.
807.
Mrs. Dixon, you know why we're seeing all the women on your wing?
Yes, madam. It was a horrible thing to do. It didn't ought to be allowed.
No, it didn't ought to, Mrs. Dixon. Now, have you any idea why anyone should do such a terrible thing?
No, madam.
It's just between us, you know. I'm trying to help you.
No, madam.
Very well. Right. Anything from Miss Flaxton?
No, madam. See, very few of the women accept her yet. The others just ignore her. She's afraid to ask questions unless...
Well, it's not what I intended. I was relying on her instinct. She has an uncanny feeling for trouble and who's behind it.
Yes, well, of course, she's still adjusting to her new job.
I have a feeling that she resents me. Perhaps it was unfair to start her in North Wing. She'll have to be taken off.
Yes, madam.
As for the women, not one of them are prepared to talk.
Well, they're scared stiff, it's obvious.
Well, we'll have to go back over all their reports. There's bound to be a lead somewhere.
You know what I mean, you old piss artist? I said, do you know what I mean?
I didn't tell her nothing, be honest.
Well, you better not. You know what happens to grasses, don't you?
Well, I'm no grass. They won't get a dicky bird out of me.
No? Well, just to make sure, I want another 4 fags off you at the end of the week.
Oh, I won't have hardly none left.
What a shame. You realise what will happen if I don't get them, don't you?
All right, Andres, that's it. You're coming with us.
You don't deny it?
What's the point? What can you do to me? 3 days solitary, that's the maximum.
Yes, that's all I can give you. But next week you'll be brought up in front of the visiting magistrates. And they're empowered to impose a far heavier sentence than I can. Take her away.
Well, that's a relief.
Yes, well, thanks to Mrs. Spencer, at least we know that it's not an organised gang, just Mick Andrews terrorising the women. I hope.
Well done, Meg.
I was lucky. Mind you, Mick Andrews was the most likely one from the start.
I knew there couldn't be a gang. There was no sign of it.
No.
Anyway, thanks to you, I'll sleep better tonight.
Me too.
What's going on? Rose, who is that?
It's a good thing we warned the restaurant we might be late.
It's a lesson I've learned over the years.
How much longer will she be?
Oh, 10 minutes. I thought, what you going to do, Paul? Now you're back?
What, about a job? I rather thought I'd like to stay in social work.
Not very well paid, is it?
No, but it's satisfying working with people. Something like your new job, I should think. Well, what is it you're doing exactly?
Well, I'm a sort of consultant to the firm now. I advise on what's needed for various projects that come up. Supplies, workforce, man management in a way.
Sounds interesting. Look, Dad, this is supposed to be my homecoming dinner. What's holding her up?
She'll be having a drink with Charles or Peter, I expect.
So now we know what we're up against.
Obviously, the extortion and intimidation wasn't confined to Mick Andrews.
Beanie must have been suspected of giving Mick away, so her face was slashed as a lesson to the others.
I've seen the other women have been attacked. None of them are prepared to talk.
Did Andrews have any particular group of friends?
Not really, madam. No special group.
Well, let's go back over the most recent cases of violence. Now, apart from Beanie tonight, there was Rose and Hazel, who had her hand caught in the oven. You found her in North Wing, didn't you?
Yes,
Miss Carter?
madam.
Well, who were the women who were nearest to her?
Oh, just Mick and the usual lot.
Excuse me, Governor, can I see you for a minute?
Yes,
It's
of course.
rather urgent. Look, I've been following up some of the women's records, as you suggested. Now, I was intrigued by the recommendation for psychiatric treatment at Donna Wyatt's trial, so I searched back and found that for the past 7 years she's lived in a variety of hostels for young women where she was known as Babyface.
I've heard Mick Andrews call her that.
Well, the nickname wasn't given to her to perfection. She was asked to leave every one of those hostels for attacking other girls. Their psychiatrists found she was disturbed and potentially dangerous, with a mental age of 12. And these pictures?
Were not expressions of her own fear, but the pain she enjoyed inflicting on others.
What shall we do, Governor?
Where's she now?
She'll be on her way back from art class.
She'll have to go to the hospital. Warn Dr. Mays. I'll meet her and take her there myself. Excuse me, madam. Miss Flaxton.
I understand I'm to be taken off
I'll
your
talk to you
wing.
later, Miss
I
Flaxton.
want to be heard. Take me off now. You be quiet.
This isn't the time. Hello, Donna.
Hello, madam.
You have a good evening. Will you come with me for a minute?
Where to?
Well, Dr. Mays wants to see you.
Why?
Because they're on to you. They've got you.
Don't be silly, Donna. It's all over. Give me the knife.
Drop it. Do you hear me? Drop that knife.
I'll get her, madam.
No, stay with Miss Flaxton. Get the doctor.
Mr. Boswell!
I've just come to talk to you, Donna. You'll have to give yourself up, you know. You can't hold out in here.
Can't I? But I've got you.
All done with my own fair hands.
Didn't she do well?
Oh, I must say it's a pleasure to come home to.
Is it all right, really?
It's perfect. I think I'll have some more peas. How did Samantha get on at the play school?
She loved it. I was quite miffed. She didn't miss me at all.
That's the way it goes.
Mum, I've got something to tell you.
I can wait till we've eaten.
What?
I've been thinking.
Oh, it's been your day for it, hasn't it?
And I've decided it's time I thought about getting a job.
Look, it's much too soon to start thinking of that.
I can't go on letting us be a burden on you.
You're not. Good grief. Can't I look after my own daughter and granddaughter?
That's just it. You're a grandmother.
Now, look here, my girl.
No, you look here.
I did try to warn you, love. I told you, Molly, she's just like you.
Oh. All right, get on with it.
I've been thinking about the prison service.
What about the prison service?
Well, you know how I used to resent the kind of work you do. It's just that I understand it a lot better now after talking to Miss Clark. Though personally, I'm more attracted to the welfare side. It's more productive.
More productive?
And with my experience at the addicts hostel, I thought I might do a course in prison welfare.
Oh, I better answer that. Bound to be trouble.
Stand by, Governor.
Don't come in, Charles.
Are you all right?
I can understand how you used to get so scratchy, Dad.
I'll give her a ring, see what's keeping her.
Well, she promised she wouldn't be late. If she doesn't come now, the whole evening will be ruined.
Talk of the devil. Hello?
What's the situation?
They're still in there.
Oh.
What's going on?
We were trying to talk her out, but it only made her more agitated.
Well, we could rush her.
No, don't do that. It could be very dangerous.
Where's Mr. Radley?
He's questioning McAndrews in my office.
Right.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, come on, Mick. You were working the thing together.
What thing?
You don't seem to realise how serious this is. Donna has stabbed Miss Flaxton. She's had to be taken to an outside hospital.
And what's it to me?
We could find out the hard way. Why don't you let me talk to her, Mr. Radley?
Here, hold on.
Just leave us alone for a few minutes.
You're not going to leave me with her. You can't do that.
Just leave us alone.
Here, sir.
You mark me and I'll have your pension.
Who said anything about marking you? You're in here for another 2 years, maybe longer after this. It'll feel like 100. Back up against that wall. Move! Turn round! Raise your arms! Now then,
You said you weren't going to mark me.
whatever gave you that idea?
Scream, damn you! Go on! Oh, you bitch! Scream!
You've had your fun, Donna. Now tell them that you're coming out.
You don't give the orders. I give the orders. You think you're going to get out of here, don't you? Well, you're not. You're going to beg me. Ooh, you're going to beg.
I saw what Donna was like straight off. They called her Babyface. She was like a big kid. I found out how to handle her, though. You tell her someone's scared of her and she'd go right after them. Watch their faces while she did things. I used to tell her some of them thought she was nuts. Those were the ones she really went for. I cashed in, that's all. Those who paid up didn't get hurt.
And what would she do if you said she was nuts?
She'd kill me. Now look here.
You think you're clever? Oh, you think you're clever, Mrs. High and Mighty, Mrs. High, Mrs. Bitch!
I'm not afraid of you, Donna. Now give yourself up.
You'll end up just like Flaxton.
And it had better work.
I'll cut you up. You'll know what it's like. You'll beg me. Please, don't hurt me. Not my hands, not my face.
Listen, that Donna is so screwy you wouldn't believe.
Get away.
I'm telling you, she is a nutter. She's ready for the booby hatch. You should have seen her in the wing, the look that came into her eyes. She's crazy.
Because of her psychological condition, I have no option but to recommend that she should be detained for a very long time indeed. Because of her psychological condition, because of her psychological condition, because of her psychological condition.
You should have seen her in the wing,
You bitch!
Faye? Faye? Are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right. My God, she scared me. She scared me, too.
Jocelyn, are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right.
Get me a drink. Well, thank you both.
Oh, it's nothing.
By the way, how's Miss Flaxton?
Well, it's not fatal. Apparently that knife was deflected on the ribs. She kept saying it was all her fault.
Oh, well, of course it's not her fault. Thank you, Darnie.
Thanks, Bill.
Oh, how did you get Mick Andrews to cooperate?
She volunteered, madam.